Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thank you very much for watching that earwax removal compilation video today. We've got a couple of quick ones to start you off with and then a bit of a longer one later on. So you can see this patient's come through with some wax that's right up against the eardrum. It's really unusual to get this wax forming as deeply as this. So this is usually an indication that somebody's pushed their wax in, more than likely with Q-tips, I'd imagine. So what we're doing here is just breaking away this outer section. You can see a bit of dry skin and wax all getting sucked into the Zollner tube here, just working our way very, very slowly down the ear canal. So this patient was experiencing a little bit of discomfort, a bit of aching in their ear and some hearing loss as well, because even though you can see that bottom portion of the eardrum there, because the wax was pressing against it, it can make it feel a little bit uncomfortable and would reduce that, would reduce the movement to the eardrum a little bit, so it would certainly dampen that sound. But as you can see, when it all comes away, a little bit of retraction there. You can see these kind of like pockets on the eardrum. That's where the skin of the eardrum's just drawn into the space behind it a little bit. Obviously, most of this got sucked into the machine, so we've got what? It's about 1/4 of an inch there, so just over 1/2 centimetre of the larger piece that we took away at the end there. So this is the second patient out of compilation video. You can see very soft. This patient has been using some olive oil before they came through the clinic today. So very soft looking wax here. So we're just going to use the suction tube just to slowly pick this away. There we go. You can see it all getting very slowly sucked into the machine. Being very cautious around these canal wall edges because, as we've said in videos before, when the wax becomes quite soft, it sometimes it blurs the sort of edges between the wax and the canal walls there. We've got a good grip on this last section, coming away really nicely, slowly working its way down the ear canal. There we are, almost got it out. It's a bit of wiggle. There you go, it's just popping out. So you can see it was actually quite long, that little, it was quite a long drawn out little piece. And when we take a look behind there, you can see some discoloration of the canal walls, just a little bit of oil there, left and right. But the eardrum itself is looking good. So we're just going to do a little bit of tidying up around the edges here. Guys, I took a couple of days off last week. A few people were asking, well, where did I go? We did mention in the video before that we were doing a renovation on the clinic. You might have missed that one. So we were actually renovating here. We redecorated and doing some sort of structural bits and bobs. So so me and Mrs. B were doing that ourselves. So it took a little while to get that done. That's why there was no videos last week. If we ever do take a break and you wonder where we've gone, always have a look at the last video we've done. We usually explain it in there for you. So you can see here, this last patient in the compilation, you can see the strange sort of surface to this wax. It's almost not smooth as such, but it looks shiny and polished, if that makes sense. So it's quite a hard piece of wax here. Suction tube's not going to get a good grip on this, so we're going to go straight in with a Jobson Horne here. You can see there's a little tiny gap at the top, so we're just going to very slowly work our way and pull this downwards, but it's quite tough and brittle, this wax, so it's not always the easiest ones to get. If you can get a good grip in the center, sometimes the whole plug will move, but what you can see is as we start to put a bit of pressure with the Jobson Horne, if you imagine, so this is the wax, as the Jobson Horne tilts over and pushes in, it actually shears this front end off here because it's so brittle. Normally, if there was a little bit more structure or maybe it was slightly softer, we'd end up drawing more of this down the canal. Always conscious when we're using the Jobson Horne that we're not pressing against the canal wall because the patient can find that quite uncomfortable. We do sometimes warn the patient before we go in with this and say, look, you may experience a little bit of mild pinching or scratching, but let us know if you do experience any of that and we'll move to a slightly different spot. So what you can see I've done here is introduced a little bit of olive oil. The reason for that, I want to get the slide. I wanted the wax to slide across the canal walls a lot more effectively. And there you go. You can see the difference the olive oil made there. I mean, that's only gone in literally seconds ago, but because it's coating the canal wall, as you draw down the top, it's less likely to shear and more likely to slide across the skin in front of it. So there we are. Out that front section pops. You can see there's another section behind. Let's see if we can get behind this bit. Now the last section here looks a little bit more solid and it's sort of blocking the ear canal a little bit more effectively. So it's difficult sometimes to get the Jobson Horne behind that. We're going to see if we can just create a little gap. There we are. I'm trying to aim for the harder outer edges because they tend to be a little bit more solid, so you tend to be able to draw the wax a little bit more across and make it, if you can dig into that bottom layer, you can actually slide it out of the canal wall. Right, you can see I'm trying to work around the edge. Because we've got no obvious gap there, let's just do a bit of tidying up at the front. Sometimes now if you get a big chunk out and you lift from the bottom, as you can see here, because we've taken so much out in front of it with the Jobson horn, the suction tube then is able to come in and just sort of maneuver the wax a little bit to get this out a little bit more effectively. Just managed to get to the outer part of the ear canal here. I'm just going to try the crocodile forceps. We've got a good leading edge there. Is it too brittle though to get a grip on? You can never tell until you actually clamp down on it, but it's just breaking away really easily. Sometimes if you've got a slightly harder piece underneath that's a little bit flatter, the crocodile forceps can get a good grip on that and pull that forwards. You can see a lot of white material underneath there. That's a little bit of dry skin that's sitting under that canal as well. Oh guys, don't forget to keep your comments coming. We're getting about 200 a day at the moment. So I'm finding it a little bit difficult to read them all, but I promise I'm trying my best to read them all. So you can see here, we've got lovely looking eardrum. It's the right side of the eardrum because the hammer bone points up to the right side. Good light reflex there as well. So this is the same patient now, second ear. You can see a little bit more of an unusual shape to this canal. So you've got that, it almost looks like an overhang there on the right hand side. You've got this little bump there, which just narrows the bottom of the canal. Now you do get these funny little ear canal quirks in some people. You know, it's just, everybody's different. So what you get is some people's ear canals might twist a little bit more. Some have got little lumps and bumps in there. Just makes it a little bit more difficult because instead of having a kind of a round space to work in, we've got this more sort of letterbox shape, we call it here in the UK. So you kind of go in and you're trying to avoid those canal walls on either side there. But the Zollner tube is doing a good job of doing that at the moment. Obviously, it reduces your maneuverability. It certainly impedes the wiggle just slightly here because you can't get that good movement back and forth. So we're just very, very gently teasing this away. We can see the top of the eardrum there now. So we're just going to lift from the bottom here. You know, just slowly, you can see I'm peeling off the canal wall. There we go. We just saw that little bit of movement there, that jump to the wax as the suction just engaged with it. And we'll draw this down through that little gap. Here we are, on its way. Perfect, you can see that come away really nicely. And then we're just going to tidy up at the front here, do a little bit of hoovering up, just at this little bit that's underneath that little overhang we were talking about earlier. So we're just going to lift. There you go, that bit's gone. And let's just take a little look further in. There we are, there's the eardrum there looking nice and healthy. You can see the little brown discoloration patches. That's a little bit of oil that's left over, you know, very thin wax basically. So we've got, inch and a quarter, 3.5 centimeters. I am super confident with inches now. So you can see it's quite a bit came away from both ears. That second one was that little bit more difficult because of that little overhang there. Well guys, don't forget we post new ear wax removal videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 PM UK time. So if you haven't subscribed already and you did enjoy the video, then please consider subscribing. Oh, give us a thumbs up as well, guys, and don't forget to comment. All the best. No arrow bite video this week, just because I haven't had time to edit it, so we're going to do that next week. So if you guys are waiting on your gold stars, I promise it will come next week. And as always, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on Friday.